Last time you guys saw me, I was transforming a village in the savannah 5,000 blocks away from where I'm standing at the moment. So I think it's time that I catch you up a little bit on what I've been doing this week. I'm very excited to report that my experiment was a success. You see, I was getting really burnt out over here in this area with the castle and the area around it, and so I decided to go to a faraway land. In fact, we went very far away, 5,000 blocks away, to a savannah in the distance where we could really experience a different part of the world, see different areas, and try some new things. I set a few goals for myself before I could return back home, one of which was to fully transform a village over there, and that was a really fun project. I also really appreciate all of your guys' support on that video. You guys seemed to really love the village transformation, which is awesome because I love doing village transformations, so we may have to do some more of those in the future. After renovating that village, I decided to defeat the dragon again, which required a dangerous trip to the Nether that I was really lucky I found a fortress and everything I needed super close by. I journeyed through the inn for a while because I did want to find shulker boxes, at least a few, so I could pack up some of the supplies I had gathered while I was over in the savannah and bring them back home. The journey home was so much faster than the trip getting to the savannah. Of course, this time I had wings and rockets and was able to just shoot my way through. I thought I might run out of rockets, but I actually did just fine. It really is an amazing view to fly over your world with an elytra and see so many of the biomes changing below you. I did stop on the way home in a few places. I took a little bit of a different trip back home than I did when I was going to the savannah. The benefit is that I could see different things, and I raided all of the villages and shipwrecks and treasure chests that I could find on the way back home, just so that I could get a few more supplies, and it's always good to gather up some more hay, so I did a lot of that. Right as the builds from my beginning area came into view, I could see Jelly's tree, and then just falling. The durability, it ran out on my elytra, and I got so lucky I fell straight into the water because there was nothing I could do to stop it. After dropping off some of my stuff, I went back to spawn to pick up all of my gear, my really good netherite gear that's fully enchanted. I dropped all the gear I've been using for my little adventure into a different shulker box so that I could store it away, probably just as backups or something, but it felt pretty powerful to get fully geared back up into all of my beautiful, shiny, and trimmed up gear. Flying back into my homestead after such a long trip away was so satisfying. It was even a little nostalgic. I loved seeing all the builds and coming back into an area that just felt really populated. After putting my stuff away, I went straight here to the castle so I could evaluate the next step. The first thing I need to determine when putting together a big city layout like I'm getting ready to start is what the big feature buildings are. I need to know where to leave room for larger things. I want to do a big amphitheater, maybe some type of a sports rink area, but to start with, I want to build a cathedral, a really large, beautiful cathedral that'll be tall and on the opposite side of town than the castle. Let's head over there now and I'll show you the area I'm talking about. I'm all the way over here on the other side of the area that I'm planning to make into the town, and it butts up against this sort of foresty area that just feels like a really natural end point for this whole area that I'm getting ready to develop. I want the cathedral to be up on a little bit of a hill, definitely higher than a lot of the other buildings, but not as high as the castle. I also want it to be taller than the other buildings, but again, not as tall as the castle. The castle should definitely be the biggest thing that you can see in the town. That being said, I want the buildings to be a little bit like bookends to this town with all of the shops and houses in between. After figuring out the elevation point here, the next step is to build up the wall, the structure, the foundation. So I've got a lot of work to figure out where a staircase is going to go in place. That way we know how to connect everything across the rest of the village. I say village, but I really mean town. City? City, because this place is going to have 100 different builds by the time it's done. Okay, 100 might be exaggerating. A lot. Let's go with a lot of builds. I want it to be a very large city. Everything down here at the bottom of the stairs looks pretty rough, but that's okay. We're going to figure that out in the future when we know what we're connecting to next. The stairs are also incomplete. While the staircase is in place, everything is just stone and a little bit of stone brick. I'm going to come back later and really give it some texture here too, right? We need a path from the stairs to the church. I have put together a really good outline here for what this cathedral is going to look like. Just ignore the birch, that's where the windows are going to go. There are towers on all 4 of the corners, a little bit of an entryway, and sort of a big tower that's going to be on the back. You can't see all of that yet because a lot of it's going to be up above the rest of the building. I used dark oak wood to strip out an entire floor. I think I'm going to keep that in place because I want to trim it with dark wood, and I haven't completely decided what to do for the palette yet. I do, however, like the deep slate as a little bit of a base. So the foundation in deep slate is going to stay the same, and I'm just, I don't know, thinking about how to build it up from here. I do really like that the building is going to be on the side compared to the castle. If you look straight on to the whole city at the castle, the church will be sideways, which will allow us to see the whole profile. That'll include the windows. I'm really excited to put some pretty stained glass windows in, and that's part of why the windows have already been marked out. Let's pop over to the storage room. I've been thinking about different palettes that we might be able to use to put together the actual build. Originally, I was thinking maybe we'd do a really classic stone church because it is supposed to be a medieval church, but then I kind of want something brighter. In fact, I'm thinking maybe white. I popped in over here to my storage room and I started looking around at what I had a lot of, and specifically thinking about white, I definitely went straight to calcite. The calcite bricks seem like the best fit for that nice crisp look that I have in mind, and I think it'll go really well with the dark oak and the dark deep slate that I'm already using in the build. A nice contrast to that bright and dark. While we're over here in the storage room, I think it would be good to pick up other supplies. I grabbed some glass already because we know we want really big, beautiful windows. And I'm going to stop here and pick up a bunch of different stacks of dye colors. I think, I'm just going to put a variety. I don't know which colors I'm going to want to go with in the end. So I'm just going to put several in the box so I'm prepared when I get over to the cathedral area to do whatever I feel in the mood for. I'm also going to grab some diorite. It goes really well to give a little bit of shade and shadowing to the lighter white blocks. Even if you don't like diorite, just a little bit here and there can actually be very effective in sculpting the shape. Last stop here in the storage room, I'm going to pick up a bunch of copper. I've already got a ton of fully waxed copper. Most of it has come from the trial chambers, but from other projects as well. So I'm going to drop a bunch of that in. I'm thinking we'll probably go with copper on the roof. I might change my mind on that, but right now that's feeling really good. The white, the dark oak, kind of a little bit of that greenish copper. A lot of variety in the color spectrum there that I think will be really pretty on our cathedral. I always like laying my palette out in advance of the build just so I can see how the colors come together. So we have our quartz bricks here, the smooth one, the cut one, and then of course the quartz brick block. I've also got the calcite and the diorite that we'll put in the mix here. Again, I'm not going to be using a ton of the diorite, but it'll help with those darker areas. Mostly I want to focus a big portion of the build on that brick itself. I want the building to actually look like a white brick building. You can already get a good feel as to how this is going to look with the deep slate that's already down for the foundation and the dark oak that's already on the floor. So you can see those colors coming together, and I really think this is going to be a good plan. Over here, I'm just going to take out some of this birch. This is where the windows are going to go, and I want to put the windows together first, I think, just to get a feel as to what the build is going to look like. I'm going to come in, dye some glass, put together a window arch, make one window just exactly the way that I want it to appear on the building, and then I'll start building everything up. At least that's my game plan. I finished up the window and I love it. I put all the colors together in a way that looked really intentional. I wanted the colors to be symmetrical, as if an artist had been hired to put together this big, beautiful chapel, but at the same time, I didn't want to make an image, a particular looking image. Instead, I went for a diamond shape. It kind of mimics the cross shape that we would typically see in a cathedral, but without being the cross exactly. For the lore in my land, they worship the purple amethyst crystal, so I used the purple for it, and again, that diamond shape, and I think it was a really good fit to look like a beautiful window that was rendered by an artist. I'm excited to see how the whole cathedral comes together and what these big, beautiful windows look like when they're all in a row. I know you can't see the colors perfectly with the mountains and the sky behind the window, but you'll have the rest of the cathedral behind it, so it should look better. Now that we've gathered all of our supplies together and we have the window in place and we have our foundation ready for the build, I'm feeling super excited to see how everything goes. All that's left to do now is build this cathedral.